Welcome back to the Black Girls PDX podcast. Today's guest is Lametrius Davis, and we talk about what it's like to be a Division I athlete and coming from Portland, moving to Hawaii, playing football, and trying to go pro, and then realizing that going pro in football might not always be the ultimate route, but going pro in something else can be. And just to put this into context, Lametrius was one of my old roommates. We played together at the University of Hawaii, and we really just sort of reminisce on our playing days and what we enjoyed and what we didn't enjoy. And so for any future student athletes, future football players that are looking to get a scholarship, this will be definitely a good conversation for you to listen to from two student athletes that went D1 and had some success. So without further ado, let's get it started. And so on the podcast today we have Lametrius Davis. He is one of my old roommates and old teammates when I played at the University of Hawaii, and he's a native Portlander. When we first met, I was like, man, there's black people in Portland, what in the world? But we got to know each other, we got to play with each other. During that time, we won the your first year was when we won the WAC champion. We co-won the WAC championship, right? Was that your first year, or was that your second?
No. That was the first year we did we go to a bowl game that first year? Did we? I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know. Maybe we did. No, I think we actually had the record to go to the bowl game, but we didn't get. We were right on the border, so we didn't go.
Okay.
But I think that's what happened. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. It's
yeah, I don't know. It feels like forever.
It just feels like forever.
Time is different.
But
yeah. I think it was the second year we won for sure.
Yeah, because it was Nevada, us, and Boise State, right? And we all because
that's
Boise State lost to Nevada.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Boise State lost to Nevada, and I remember everybody was running around the hotel room.
Right.
because
I think we were playing Idaho, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it Idaho?
It was either Idaho or New Mexico, actually.
I think it was New Mexico. Yeah, I think it was New Mexico.
Man, that was a dry game. That was a good game for us, but that game was just so dry.
It was cold.
Right. I was like, man, there's nobody here, literally.
Yeah. It was man, that was my first and last time going to New Mexico, and
Right. That was my first and last time too.
I was good. But yeah, we played football together. We've been keeping in contact ever since, especially since I moved up here to Portland, and just how's everything going with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, outside of that, when you first left Hawaii, you got your degree, you went to Oregon State, so that was just kind of like in my backyard, so I had to make sure I was reaching out to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was coming back to Portland because we were Corvallis to Portland is not that far.
Nah, yeah, it's like what, an hour and a half, just about.
Yeah. So not that far at all. But shoot, I mean, recently, I think all I've been doing for the most part is just staying clear from this COVID-19.
Yeah.
Just making sure I'm being more mindful of the places that I'm going, the stores that I am going into that are still open. Just because it's like this. If we all have to educate each other on how we should properly clean our hands, wash our hands, all these things that we're educating people on, these are things that I feel like everyone should have known before this even happened. I know it's a more emphasis on it now, but it just It's like, well, so you really got to still just make sure you staying clear,
Yeah.
not by people, because people don't even know the symptoms. So, and the symptoms change every day. So, but other than that, in the education field, right now working at charter school called Kairos PDX, and it's a very innovative school. So like right now we're like on our 5th week, maybe 6th week with online learning.
Yeah.
So like literally our schedule is different. So when like I think this all happened like March 16th, like the schools had closed down,
Mm-hmm.
but like that following week we still were in school, as far as in like the staff. So we were able to like just have those meetings then, um, come up with a plan, um, and we've been just getting the ball rolling since that last week of March, and we've just been kind of just going full force with it, and we've been getting really good turnouts, keeping communication with the families, just making sure that they know that we're still here to support them, and it's a hard time because like we're working from home. Some people have wife or husband, all the kids, maybe even more immediate family living with them, and then they're still trying to work. So they're just trying to, dictate how to, you know, their schedules. Like today we had a meeting, and one of the ladies was like, it's a lot. Like, I have kids and I have to connect with these kids, and this is not something that I'm used to because no one's used to this. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's like bring your kid to work day every single day now.
Every day, right? And it's not even bring your kid to work day. It's your kids. It's like your son or your daughter. They said they're coming. Like you don't have no say so. They said they're coming. You got to just make room.
And so,
But I mean,
like,
other than that, I mean, that's all we've been doing. Really,
okay.
just trying to just stay connected. That's been the most of what I've been doing this year specifically. So
Okay. And so,
but no one knew about this coronavirus thing was going to be so impactful.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And so, like at Kairos, are you like what are you doing at Kairos? Are you a teacher? Are you like a counselor or mentor or
Man,
like what are you like? Yeah.
Well, there's a lot. So whenever anyone that knows education field, whenever you're in the education field, you always wear a lot of different hats. Right now, I'm like probably support team. So pretty much, we have our own department, but we have our own classroom. Usually, it's like therapeutic intervention. So like giving kids a different ways to make their come up with their decisions, the outcomes of things, how they handle things, how they react, their emotions. If there's things going on at home, just being a supportive staff, a supportive adult, things like that. But at the same time, we still have to make connections with the parents, and so we're still doing that, and then we're actually supporting the teachers as well because there's only one teacher. Obviously, how schools work,
Yeah.
so. There's usually lots of kids. Some kids may be having, like I said, some big emotions or something where they may not be able to stay in the classroom. And then we're also in charge of. Well, some of us are a part of different departments. Like myself, I was a part of aftercare, which is like an after-school program that we had. Some people are a part of different departments, such as like communications department, family communications department. There's just so much stuff going on. Like I said, everybody's really hands-on. We're really just the department that I'm in. We really just support everybody in the school and just try to make sure that everyone, kids specifically, are able to stay in school. So like we're really big on like figuring out what the issue is, getting to the core problem, not just hearing whatever the problem may be and just like potentially making a subjective decision and sending kids home because we may feel like they're not emotionally stable already.
Yeah.
Instead of making that decision, we just kind of like we figure out what the issue is. We figure out what's the problem because 9 times out of 10, it'd be so funny because like it'd be so much big emotions coming out of these children, and you'd be like, "Hey, what's going on? Did you eat today?" No. So you didn't eat? No, I didn't eat. So would you like to eat? Yeah. All right. Then they eat. They're like magnificent.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's just like, oh, or I didn't get any sleep last night. So like they're literally just little adults. But like, like instead of us like being able to like secure our emotions or how we're feeling,
Yeah.
if we're feeling indifferent, you know, they're not able to right now. So, you know, it's a process. That's all.
Yeah, I mean they'll get there. It's just they're not there
Right.
yet. You know. They.
Right. That's all, and that's all it is. So it's just like that's why working with kids. People are like, you work with kids, like how do you do it? I'm like, patience, like, you know, having an understanding of like, hey, you were once that kid, and you were once making those same errors, or you were once making those better of words, lack of judgment.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're impatient with a child, then you have to also like look in the mirror and be like, I wonder how many things that I do when I was a child. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just like, it's kind of like you got to just pay it forward. Really, it's like one of those things where like it is what it is. Like,
Yeah, I think it's you know, for me when I'm working with kids, I it really gives me an opportunity to really like reflect on myself and kind of
right,
step out of like my, you know, like my sort of worldview and just put myself in the, you know, the shoes of like the kids that I'm interacting with, where it's like, you know, yeah, me being an adult, I would probably not do certain things, but you know, if I was a kid that, you know, had a whole bunch of time on my hands and had a phone and all these different things now, you know, I would probably follow and do the same stuff that they would be doing, you know,
right.
and just sort of just like acknowledging that and looking at that as just, you know, these are just experiences that they're gonna, you know, that hopefully aren't going to impact them negatively later on in life, but these are just experiences that like are part of their daily lives, you know.
Right, and even like just to chime on what you said, it's like think about where we were with technology when we were like kids from the age of what 7 to 14.
Yeah. It's
And think about where technology is right now. Like literally, like it's literally one click away from everything and anything, good, bad, or indifferent. So it's like, and you know, parents, we're living in a time where there's some, you know, some crazy stuff happening out there. So
yeah.
parents want to equip their kids with, you know, technology for communication. And even then, it's like, you know, you never know
Yeah.
what you're looking at, unless you're like just like one of those parents that got like, you know, what is it, a phone company where you can just look into all the information and never tell them. You can be that kid. I mean, you can be that parent, but I mean, then you have to be that parent for the rest of your life. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's, you know, it's a losing battle for because you just think about all the stuff that you did growing up that like you tried to avoid your parents from finding out, you know,
Right.
and it's literally that vicious cycle over and over again. You know, I remember when, you know, like kids nowadays, like they have phones, they have all these different things. I remember growing up, we had Pokemon cards and we had Game Boys. That's about it.
Tell me about it, bro. Pokemon cards was it,
Like,
and you just kept them on you,
yeah,
or you kept the book.
yeah, like that's it. You had the book, you know, and all you would do is get those. You would get the sleeves for them, and you would get and you would have a binder, and that's pretty much it. You know, I don't really know anybody that really played the game, but like I knew kids.
Pokemon took over the
You
world.
know, I knew kids that had some shiny cards though.
Right, bro. Tell me about those shiny cards, bro. That's all I remember is those shiny cards. That's it.
Yeah, like it's just, and then the Game Boy. I mean that was, you know, with the link cable, those are the things that like that was our technology. That was the extent of our technology, you know. Like, and now, man, it's just, you know, it's you know just exponential, you know.
Hey, you know what's crazy? Not to cut you off, but it's not even on the topic. But it's what you said earlier. That first year that I was there, we actually had a cold squad. Like our team was really good that year. That's the year we we had all the seniors like Blaze.
Yeah, we had
We had
Blaze.
Brashton.
Brad.
We had RJ. Man, we had
We had
we had
Libre.
squad.
We had
Malcolm,
Daniel
Daniel,
Libre.
yeah.
We had
Man,
we had Mike Wash. Um, yeah,
right. I can't even think of it because there was so many. We had Greg as a quarterback. We had a squad. We had heck of senior linemen, D line, and offensive linemen. Like we really had a
yeah, because
team. But we
had
just
David Vicuni. We
right.
had
Oh,
that was just it was just an interesting team, you know.
I know. I feel like we were trying to like honestly, just from looking back on it, I feel like I'm just being real. That defense was probably better than the senior year defense, but I feel like senior year we were probably my senior year, my second year, we were more comfortable with the defenses and the fronts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because that first year defense was that's a dog type of defense.
well,
Like
it was a transition from like June Jones to McMacken, really,
right.
because really like yeah, that was just a big transition from like the June Jones squad to McMacken. And so for people that like aren't really following, so like we played at the University of Hawaii post June Jones, and so from you got there in 2009.
Bro, I got there probably like right the season after he left. Like it was only one season that had passed before he left.
Yeah, yeah. So I got there in 2008, and you got there in 2000, like spring 2009.
Right.
Yeah, and then we played football at the University of Hawaii, and he played 2 years there. I played 3.5, and then I ended up leaving the team and transferring to Oregon State and finishing 2 years there. But you came in as a junior JC transfer.
Yeah. I came in as a JUCO transfer coming out of high school.
Yeah.
So with that situation that happened was when you were in high school, this was back then, you had to take your SATs.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't take SATs, you couldn't get to school. It doesn't matter what. I remember vividly everything about that day. Went to Cleveland High School, asking people around, hey, are we SATs? Because I guess I came in the opposite direction. Like I came in the side door. Because I had been playing basketball and we were practicing at that place. So I was really familiar with the school. So I guess I didn't come in through the front entrance like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there. I'm like, hey, looking for the room. My name, Blase. Lady's like, hey, yeah, you're in this room right here. I went to the room. I was in there for like 35, 40 minutes, taking my test, turned the page over, all Spanish. I'm like, what is going on? And then I knew a little bit, but I ain't going to lie. I knew a little bit, but not enough to be like thoroughly finish the rest of those 45, 50 questions. So I was like, raised my hand, like, hey, I got a Spanish test. I don't know why I have a test. She was like, well, let me see if you're on my roster. Look on the roster. No, you're not here. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they told me to be here. So as I walk out, she was like, yo, actually, you're supposed to be right there. It's like literally 2 doors down. Or no, not 2 doors down. It's probably like 4 doors down. But it felt like it was closer back then. And then I walked over there, knocked on the door. They're like, yeah, your name's on the roster. I was like, all right, am I able to come in? They're like, no, you're not because we already started. So I was like, and then I was devastated for like maybe 15 seconds. And then I started talking to some coaches and from high school and telling them about the situation. They start calling Oregon State for me. Oregon State called me, told me that I can talk directly to the SAT person to see if I can take a test and letting them know like it's because of the scholarship and by a certain day and signing and all that stuff. And, just telling this story, looking back on it, I never thought about this until right now. They lied to me. Because think about it. Even if you don't sign on signing day, that don't mean you can't go to that school.
Yeah.
You don't sign on that signing day. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else. And really, it looks better for the school than it looks for you because it lets them, like, it's kind of like, it's like forecasting the next season for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks way better for them as far as in like, what is it? Their their powerhouse squad. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
like their rankings and all that stuff. Like,
No, I'm talking about their finances. I'm talking about their powerhouse people.
oh
You
yeah,
know what I'm talking.
oh yeah,
And then
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and then but other than that, I was like, because I remember he was like, yeah, if you don't sign this day, we're not able to take you. Or I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it's like
Talk to
deals
the
with like all
SAT
the
people.
clearinghouse stuff.
Right. Talk to the SAT people. They're like, oh, nope, we can't make that exception. Right? They're like, nope, like, sorry, you missed it. And then I was like, all right, well, I ain't going to Oregon State. And then for a while, I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. But luckily, I got accepted to the Oregon All-Star game that year, and I was able to play against some top talent, like people that were going. A couple of people were going to Oregon State, Cal, Oregon. They were going a lot of places. I had a pretty good game. Practices, coaches were telling me that, so I just kind of like kept pushing. Found a school that I liked, that fit me. As in wasn't too far from Portland, wasn't too hot because I was going to go to California regardless, because that was most of where all the JUCOs were at back then.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people didn't travel out to like Kansas or was it Texas to go play JUCOs unless like you had a connection.
Yeah, no, it's
But like,
strictly like I feel like it's always been, a lot of California schools like
there's a
Fresno,
lot,
Frisco City,
right?
you know,
You got NorCal because you got there's so many different levels. Why people don't understand, there's a lot of different levels to JUCO. A lot of people think because when you go to JUCO, it's junior college that everybody plays. No, it doesn't. There's like a golden league. There's like a bronze league and a silver league. Like there's literally different divisions throughout the whole state, and you may even be in NorCal, like Northern California, and you may be, for instance, close by to San Francisco City, but you two might not even play each other because you guys are not even in the same division or the same class. So it's really it's a lot to JUCO football, a lot more than what people think, and it's still huge politics.
yeah,
But it's just a lot more than what people think.
yeah,
Good, bad, or indifferent, whatever way you want to look at it. There's probably you can always look at it in those three lights
hmm,
for anything.
oh yeah, definitely. And so like for you what was sort of like the goal with you like pursuing or going to JUCO opposed to just saying, okay, I'm just not going to play anymore. Things didn't work out. I'm gonna just try to do something else. Like, what was sort of like that driver for you to like keep pursuing playing when like that scholarship didn't come in out of high school?
Well, mm, I played football at 8th grade year. I played junior year, and I played senior year. And my junior year, I was all right. I was playing out of position, like most high school kids are, because high school coaches are only in it to win. Now I feel like it's adjusting and shifting, but they still get paid to coach. And my senior year, I had a really good year. I was actually playing in a more in a position that better fitted who I was as an individual and as an athlete. I was playing running back, receiver, and I played defense only because of injury. You know how football is,
Yeah.
next man up. But I was just focused on offense, like getting the ball, obviously. And then, but like I said, I had a really good year. And when I got accepted to the Shrine game, and then I went to the Shrine game, and I was around all those good coaches, and they were telling me the things that people were telling me in my school. But you really don't take it. I guess I really wasn't taking it as concrete because my school wasn't known for like winning a whole bunch of games and being super successful. So when I heard it from those people, it was like, okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Not to say that I don't like believe you, but like you got to hear it from some people that like know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So when I got out there and they were doing it, I'm like, all right, well, you know what I'm saying, I might as well like continue to try to excel at it. Like it was no for sure, of course, but I was at the time I had been training too. I had just started training for football with like an actual trainer my senior year, senior summer, that summer before the All-Star game. And I had seen all those improvements. And the dude that was mentoring me and teaching me, he was cold with it. But I don't know. I guess I don't know what made me like think that I didn't have like a goal to or objective to play for the big Division 1 school or even play NFL. Like that never was a goal of mine because I never played football consistently as such. But when I started working with that trainer and just like, I guess it was more so like I'm putting in work. All right, now you got to have goals. Like you can't just put in work and work on things and not have goals. So then that's when the goals start coming in, and that's when things started getting more serious. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you're alluding to
Because
is
it's like you can't work and not have a like you don't have an objective to working. You're just working.
yeah.
Like there's no excitement or joy in that, and you can't go. You can't have a drive or a motivation if you don't have a end goal.
Yeah, it's just one of those like weird dynamics that like I'm slowly but surely like being more aware of. It's like you're when you're when you're put in a situation or you're in a scenario where you are putting forth effort and you are trying to create opportunities for yourself, either in your hobbies or your leisure activities or profession or education. Like you try to improve, you try to be better. And quite often, and I'm seeing this more like now that I'm in sort of the tech space and not in like the athletic space, and seeing how
Right.
like my experiences and my drive and my approach has shifted. But I think for like black kids in general, like most of the things that like we're exposed to are very focused around like sports, and not necessarily a lot of the they're focused around things that involve our bodies and involve us like putting forth like physical effort in order to like improve our conditions or get better at things, you know and it's like it's hard to like describe, it's hard to like see it or recognize it like in the moment. But as I look back at it, I'm just like, like I could have put my time towards something else if I was like, if that was sort of like at the forefront or was, like made a priority for me, you know?
Right, but it was like I feel you 100%, and I always like just being like kind of like I never wanted to be like that jock person or that that typical jock athlete.
Yeah.
Like, cause you hear that growing up, but it's like when you have interest, and then at the same time, it's like more than anything, your friendships are within sports, and usually friendships start off in sports. Not always, but even if you don't play on the same team, you can always find an interest in sports or with your friends, or even going out to play them, or even watching them.
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of like it's moved up the ladder on the hierarchy for like values when it's because of the friendship that comes from the sports and stuff like that. Like with us, like if it wasn't for football, we would never stay connected like we are right
Oh
now.
yeah.
And we're not even doing football related things. We're doing something totally different, but we're still connected. But I 100% agree with you on the sports and just being pushed and just putting your attention somewhere else. But I don't know. I never looked at it like that, but now that I think about it, that makes a lot of sense. Like I guess I wish that I would have been pushed in a different direction, but at the same time, as a kid, we were so stubborn.
Oh yeah. It
We was
like
like, man,
look here,
that's what you like.
like they sat me down and they were like so like when Norm Chow got to Hawaii, he
Right.
he sat me down. It was literally me, him, and the player personnel person. They sat me down and they were like, "Hey, if you don't want to play, like if you haven't graduated, you could just we'll put you on like medical, we'll medical disqualify you and you could graduate, and we could just part ways from there." And I was like,
Right.
"No, I'm a play football. I'm gonna just go someplace else." And so, after my second surgery, I was just like I was so stubborn that after two hip surgeries, I decided to go to a different school to play rather than be at the school that was going to, make sure I
Pay for
graduate.
your education, and then at the same time, you can still take care of your body.
Yeah.
But it's just that what is it? Ego, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be real, I mean, like when we're young and we're like vulnerable to our ideas and our goals, vulnerable in the terms of like really emotionally invested,
Yeah.
right? Because it wasn't because like in the same time it's like it's not even the fact that they said that you can't play. It was just more so the fact that it wasn't your decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like looking back on it, I probably would have did the same thing you did, bro. Just to be real with you, just because it's like leaving on your own terms, and then at the same time, it's like playing a game that you've been playing for so long, and then just not understanding, like, all right, what goes after football, or when football doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though you were smart, it still was like probably like just like beating in your head, like, all right, like this is what you do, like you're a football player.
Yeah.
So it's like when you don't have football, sometimes and you're a football player, it just feels weird.
Well, it's like your identity. I mean, it's just like,
Exactly. I agree.
it it's just one of those things that like you sort of just wake up and expect just it to be like that until it's not, and then you go through this sort of like, this scary sort of journey of trying to like redefine or figure out who the heck you are now. Because
Right. You know the funny thing is, I'm not to cut you off real quick, but they don't even give you enough resources. They, as in schools, coaches, football, like I'm talking about from high school up. Maybe more so in high school, just because they know like some people won't play after high school. But they never give you resources for life after football. It's
Man.
always like they tell you about it, but then it's like in the same sentence they'll give you like 5 or 7 different demands to do on the field. So like you're clouded with the now and you're not thinking about the later. And the coaches aren't thinking about later either.
Yeah. Like that was like I think that was like the most frustrating thing when I got to Oregon State and I'm in grad school. I already have my degree. I'm in grad school and I'm still playing football.
Right.
And, I know that like after 2 hip surgeries and being in grad school and playing for, however long that like, my time is limited, like
Right.
my time is limited. So I'm like thinking that way. I'm developing skills, building relationships and stuff. And so, they started to use me as sort of like the model for like how a student athlete should be like thinking. But the thing was that, they didn't understand what it's like to be a student athlete. Oh, they don't understand what it's like to be like a football player, basketball player. That, to be more specifically, like they don't understand what it's like to be a black football player, basketball player, because, just certain things about like when you go into like those meetings where they would have like the business people in and they're like, oh, you should be like having your resume and all these things,
Right.
business development classes and resources, guys would show up and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're looking for like athletes, athletes are, they have the skill set that all businesses are looking for. But
Right.
after they tell us that, they'd be like, they don't go any deeper and show us how we apply the stuff that we learn in the sport to our profession. They don't walk us through. There's no sort of courses. There's no seminars. There's no sort of like, halfway point between, being on the field and developing those skills and then going into the real world and into the workplace and utilizing those skill sets, across disciplines. And so,
Right, exactly. Because really, like you said, and I've seen this in so many different arenas, is that football, like playing on a team and like the structure that comes around it and the discipline and the many other variables that come along with football, as far as on a structure basis, it leads you right to being, probably better off than a lot of people where they start.
Yeah.
Just because you've already been a part of a team and you understand the team dynamic and you understand the importance of a team or being a good teammate or just like
just understanding the power of sacrifice. I mean,
cohesion, right. And group cohesion, like just being cohesive enough with a group, like that's hard for a lot of people. honestly.
Yeah, or just investing the time to develop the skills that are required to do the job. You know,
Right.
like I could, if I were to count on, like, if I were to tally up how many hours I spent outside of practice just developing my skills, just to just to compete,
Right.
not even just to be on the team, to get a scholarship or to do all that stuff. It's like, that's I probably spent more time off the field, just preparing, to just to be good enough than to actually like playing in a game.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you know that's what people always say the most is you spend more time preparing than you actually do doing the live performance. So you know sometimes it's like it don't make sense sometimes, but at the same time it's like I guess you just got to be ready for all what may be thrown at you.
Yeah, yeah, and it. I feel like if anybody were to look into like models for, self help, not even self help, but avenues for like education, definitely looking into sort of like the market for translating uh, skills that you learn in a sport and how to translate those to skills that can be utilized in a workplace. Because it's that, I think, for going through football and going through college athletics, really, um, one of the things that like you learn is that, like, you learn how to set a goal, at the beginning of the year and then see that through, 12, like 11, 12 months down the road. Like you're forced to do those things, and then that kind of just becomes ingrained in like how you conduct yourselves. And and all the stuff that like I do now are based off of those types of foundations. And I've yet to find a, an avenue that is, given me that sort of, uh, skill set, or challenge me in that way.
You know, I was thinking about you know how you was talking about JUCO,
Yeah.
about what you're talking about right now about just like giving us the resource, like just resources, pretty much. That's what it is, like equipping us with the correct resources, not only on the field but off the field.
Yeah.
Is but not and even with the off the field thing, that's a lot to wrap around to because it's like you got like for instance the business world. You can think about like jobs and stuff like that, but then you can also think about like mental stability. That's also a huge thing that also never gets really spoken about with football because there's so much that goes on that like you have to be broken down technically
Yeah.
just to be able um, to be a part of the team. I like a lot of people know like there's not a lot of people that come to a squad and they just do what they want to do or come to it unless they're like out of this world talent. But that's not very that's a lot of people don't do. That's not a lot of folks. That's not a lot of
Yeah.
folks at all.
No, like I instantly think about remember when we were in the first fall camp that you guys came in, and and Jeremy Bryant didn't want to participate in the gauntlet.
Yeah.
And the guys started chasing him with pillowcases full of jeans. It was
Remember.
like it's like it's, I think, because like football is always like one of those like stark, like stereotype, it's an exaggerated example because there's 100 guys, and 100 guys that have to work together in order to like win. And within those 100 guys, literally guys from all over the country, all shapes and sizes and everything, uh, and they all have to they all have to have the same exact goal in order to be successful.
Which is crazy because there's never like mental health check, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. You like think about how far we are with mental health right now,
Oh my
and
gosh.
think about like sports. Like think about how that's not even important in sports, but it should be important in sports. But I mean, important in terms of like giving the resources to help, not only to those that ask for help, because everybody that asks for help doesn't need help. A lot of people that need help, they don't even ask.
Yeah.
But just going back to what you were saying about the resources, I was thinking about JUCO because they literally like in JUCO you don't get resources to be a great student in terms of like they let you know like this is independent learning. Like yeah, we're in college and everybody knows it's independent learning, but it's like we're at a JUCO, bro. So it's like, all right, so we're at a JUCO, bro. So it's like I think I was telling you before, if you don't wake your butt up to get on that bus at 7:30, even though your class is at 9:30, you're not going. The coach ain't waking you up. Your partners may not wake you up. Y'all might be on some type of team bonding thing. Like y'all might be cool. But like I was saying to you, I know we talked about this several times, is like, and you just said it, there's so many different people from so many different areas and so many different regions. And on top of that, in JUCO, you're there to compete. You're not there to necessarily, well, how about this? You don't got no scholarship. You're not on no partial scholarship. You can't work towards a scholarship. You got to be at JUCO for the years that you're there, and then you got to pay out of pocket. But it's like I was saying, like your roommates may not wake you up because they know if they wake you up, you're gonna be on time. You know what I'm saying? It's they still number two. If they don't wake you up, you may miss class. Oh, now you got moved to number two. Guess who's number one? The dude that didn't wake you up, right? So it's like, but it's like I was fortunate to be at a school where we still had some type of like I went to Butte College in Oroville, California. It's the same school that Aaron Rodgers went to. Actually, shoot, it's the same. It's a lot of people. I'm not just going
Oh
to
yeah.
just.
Yeah. Like
There's a lot of folks, but Aaron Rodgers and then Leon Lett. You know, and real football heads know Leon Lett, and that dude was a beast. So we had, like, they had some foundation. Like, there's already a foundation at that school well before I had got there, which is one of the main reasons why I chose that school. But you really have to go to school at JUCO, and the resources they give you are, hey, here's the bus. Here's what time the bus comes. That's the resource. They're showing you the times of the bus. You got to put the work in. You got to do that yourself. You're not. No one's helping you. No one's walking through the hallways, holding your hand, going to each class, introducing. Like no one's doing all that stuff. Like it's either you're gonna put the work in, or you're just gonna be left behind. And a lot of the times, and I've seen it firsthand, a lot of dudes they come to JUCO because they think it's gonna be easy, right? Oh, it's easy. I'm just gonna play football. No, you got to go to school too, obviously. And then they drop out after that first semester. So it's like it happens so many times, or you get so many kids, so many dudes who are, for instance, who are at Division Ones, who don't they don't understand their incentives in the fact that they still have to continue to work. So then they get behind the eight ball, and now they got to go back to JUCO. Right, and we call those bounce backs.
yeah.
And those dudes, man, I mean, when you first come on the scene, it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? You might be a little intimidated because they're a bounce back from a D1. But then when you're around them, like they're a bounce back for a reason. Like it's just a work ethic. And when you're in JUCO, you never had a scholarship. It just pushes your work ethic that much more.
Oh yeah.
So like I was fortunate to be around good teammates. I was fortunate to be around good coaches, not only coaches, but, you know what I'm saying, good men who knew the game. And then, you know, the teammates that I had who are, you know, like still my friends to this day are great men too. So like we all, you know, we just went through a grind together. It was hard, super hard, independent in every aspect as far as in rent. Like you know what I'm saying, you got to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? You still got to pay for school. And like I said, that's all coming out of your pocket, nobody else's pocket. So it's or your pocket or the government's pocket, whichever way you want to look at it, it's still coming out of your pocket because you ain't seen the money. But I was just thinking about that JUCO that life when you were just talking about resources, because there's really like a lack of resources. I'm pretty sure now things are getting better because things get better with time. But
I
I just
mean,
remember when
yeah, like look at the whole announcement that the NCAA had, what, today or
today
yeah,
I
today.
see
You know,
game over.
it's so
That's them pretty much saying they know what's going on. We're not going to keep, because I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to take some backlash if they didn't switch that rule.
well,
Because it's like, you guys know what's going on, and you guys are you guys have incentives, and you guys are pocketing off of these things, but then you are taking the same people who are giving money to the kids, and now you're using the kids as a life lesson, which is weird because like you're doing the same exact thing these kids are doing literally, and you already have money.
yeah, like I'm really curious to see like how what this sort of direction that they're taking looks, because obviously like with all the coronavirus stuff and people losing their jobs and people needing money to like pay rent and stuff like that, you know,
Right.
I mean, at least the way it goes now, because that stuff doesn't start till 2021. And so at least right now, for people that don't know how like the NCAA like sort of works, essentially if during the coronavirus, if a kid, you know, a student athlete gets evicted because they can't pay their rent, and a booster or somebody, their neighbor, anybody, even their parents or like their cousins or whatever, like if somebody gives them rent money to help pay their rent, then that is an NCAA violation, and they can be they can be disqualified from competing in NCAA sports, because it's considered an extra gift and they're profiting off of their likeness as a student athlete. Regardless of regardless of if they're doing nothing that relates to sports, just the very fact that like they have a name and they sign on a dotted line with that name, using your name and your face and your image, and getting money, you know, indirectly or directly because of it, is an NCAA violation. And so one of the things that you know I've done, you know, I like made a documentary, and I almost got kicked out of Oregon State because I did an art show to benefit the local youth shelter, and I almost did some transactions, and if I would have got caught doing those transactions, I would have got disqualified from playing football. And so I'm like really curious how like this is going to shake out, because there like it's this is like one of those too good to be true sort of situations, given the history of the NCAA, you know.
That documentary you did was real. I love that documentary. Still to this day, I'll be showing to. I actually remember. So you remember when you was at Oregon State? You remember I was there, and I was with the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade class, the middle school class.
Yeah.
We were taking college visits. I showed all of them in that class that video. So many athletes, but yeah, man, it's crazy because like you said, they'll make the student athlete out to be this terrible person to accept money, despite the fact that they are kids and they have no money,
Yeah.
they have no support. They'll make these kids out to be like the worst person in the world. But then, like you were saying, these same adults, these same men, women, they're accepting money from the same people. That's the only things that I don't like. I'm just like, bro, y'all greedy.
Yeah. Like
You don't want me to make money off of my own name and my own face, something that you do not control. Like, it's weird. Like, even when you even the back of the names on the jersey, like there's so much into college that people don't understand in NCAA. People really don't understand it at all, but they just see it from the outside. They just see things from the outside, and it looks good. And I'm not going to say that it's not a privilege, because it's definitely a privilege. I'm not going to say that it's not something that people appreciate, because people do appreciate it, but there's just so much and so many variables that go into being a student athlete, from outside of like practicing,
Yeah.
outside of school. There's still so many things that go along with that.
Yeah. Well, I think
It's
people
literally
tend
a
to,
full-time job.
yeah, I mean, people tend to sort of like treat,
Being on the team, being on the team is a full-time job. And I'm not even talking about school. I'm
yeah.
just talking about being on the team.
Oh my gosh. Like, but what I always feel like there's always like this sort of subtext that people have when they talk about like, student athletes or football players or basketball players or players on scholarship. It always sort of like gives me this sort of like not like a charity case sort of vibe. Like they're saying, oh, you are ungrateful for what you got, but it's really that sort of like it's very similar to like what you would hear about with like welfare queens and stuff, where like you're ungrateful, you don't deserve it, you're only you're only getting this because you are fit within a certain demographic, and people tend to overlook the fact that, one, you actually have to be good enough to like get this opportunity. And yeah, it's a privilege, but it's a privilege that's earned, like nobody's like in the age of corona, nobody's going to sit here and complain about how much a doctor is making right now, because at the end of the day, a doctor is saving lives. And so you're going to sit here and complain about a doctor making $600,000 a year, but this doctor is saving 5 to 10 lives a day, every day for every day of the year. You're like, okay, it's a privilege to make that, but that doctor earned that. That doctor put in the work to get to that position. It's not a charity. It's not something that you want to sit here and be jealous about. Go outside, go work out, do the work to get yourself into that position. Don't sit here and talk about, oh, you're getting a free education, you need to be grateful. It's like you suck. And that's why you're jealous. That's really what it comes down to.
And on top of that, it's like when I was first going into school, barely did I hear about people getting academic scholarships. But man, there's so many scholarships out there now, so many academic scholarships, so many scholarships not including sports or academic that people are giving out. Like people want to everyone wants people to go to college. Yes, it costs. I always was told, don't let what cost be the reason you don't get your education. Because like I said, there's so many people out there that want to pay for your school.
Yeah.
Like even outside of you having an academic scholarship or a sports scholarship, there's people out there that just want to give money away to get that tax write-off.
Yeah, right. Like they getting that tax write-off.
Gotta make sure you put that in there, because that's the truth. but it's a big business, man. It's a big business, and it's there. I feel like the people in the public, they're trying to make it a integrity business, but it's just so far left and so far gone right now.
Yeah.
That it's going to take a lot to get back to where, we're all on the same page, because, it's only so long before, I don't know, but like I said, like NCAA, they're lucky that they're trying to change out. Like you can say that they're trying to be innovative. At least they made that new rule. That's a step and a start. But it's like, is the way this generation is like, it's only so long before people are going to start boycotting. And I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about student athletes.
Yeah.
Like it's a different generation. Like these people they're sitting down for what they want.
Oh yeah, I mean it's good to see that, because I think that is one of the things. When I finished, I worked with Kane Coulter, who started sort of like the new wave of like student athlete rights, and did the documentary. I did my master's thesis on this. I almost got a couple people fired. It takes that sort of that initiative on the part of like student athletes to say like, hey, this is not what we're going to do, and we're not going to play till things change. And until you get a group that is willing to do that is also winning games, that's how it's going to push sort of the the beneficial experiences for the student athletes forward. And so I'm really, I'm really curious to see like how things are going to turn out with this, at least over the next like year or so, with everything going on, which is just wild right now.
Right, and and it's ironic that we're talking about all this because this is like we're literally on the brink. Where yesterday was a day in 1967 where Muhammad Ali, even though he wasn't a student athlete, he would have been considered one by his age standard, but he was stripped from his the world heavyweight champion for 5 years because he didn't want to go to war. And I think that was like what 1967, April 28th.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, think about how long ago that was then, and think about what people are still doing now that resembles what he did.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. You would think that things would get better at least, but there's just so many people behind the scenes that are pocketing and making more cash than what they should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's how it always is, though.
yeah.
In whatever arena you want to think about.
Yep. It's I enjoy my time playing sports. I love playing football. I love traveling. I love all that stuff. But if I had the opportunity to do it again, I'm good with the one and done. You know, I
Right.
I've I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it again. But I enjoyed my experience that I had with it. It's
Right.
painful
And
now.
so much, right, but there was so much stuff that we ignored
Yeah.
that we knew
Oh my gosh.
also. Like
Like
just so much stuff. That like, all right, well, we just kind of like had a blind eye to. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could do it all over again, of course I'll do it again. But it would just be a lot different. Like you just know, like looking back, like dang, like what we thought it really wasn't that. It was just made out to be that. And then in terms of like, just like for instance, like just being your own self.
yeah.
Like I'm not saying that anybody lost themselves while being on the football team, but just think about
But
it.
it
Like
does restrict you
you
from being who
conform
you want
so
to be.
right, you conform so much to so many things, but in actuality, that was just their way of breaking you down.
Yeah, and like controlling
It
you.
wasn't. It didn't. Right. That's all it was. It didn't make you. I guess they felt like it broke you. Like by breaking yourself down, it makes you a better athlete because you're more needy. You have to ask questions. Like you have to talk more to the coaches. Like I guess, but like in actuality, like why not just build on someone's strengths and then just help their weaknesses? Like that's how life should go, technically.
Yeah, but there's just so many. It just in the game of football and basketball in college, at predominantly white universities, like it's there's always this sort of
He said a predominantly white university.
you know
Well, you let me know which university is not predominantly white.
it's a like it's just, I mean, you either go like the HBCU route and you just not playing on TV, or
Right.
you go the other route and you get a national championship. But you
Right.
gotta deal
And you get
with,
more pub.
yeah, you gotta deal with the stuff that comes with it.
It's crazy though, because it's crazy that you just said that, because you look at it like this. Because of I mean, well, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It makes sense because yes, you're on, TV, so people see you more. But even the best players in the HBCUs are still not treated like the third or fourth best players at, certain Division I universities.
Yeah,
Which is crazy. It's crazy. Like, but that's just how much they look at HBCU specifically because it's a black college.
yeah,
That's how much they like don't respect. But I mean, there's too many. If I could do it again, I'd have went to an HBCU. I always told myself that, like, because why would you not? Like,
yeah.
you still play against good people. Like, think about it. You still play against great people, but you're not just. It's not televised as
Yeah,
much.
I mean,
That's
it's
all.
not televised. I mean, yeah, that's cool. Nobody's making money, so that mess don't matter. And
Right.
if you're good enough to go to the NFL, I mean, all you gotta do is run a 4.3. If you could pop out a 4.3, then you go into the NFL anyway. Then it's like
Right.
they and being at a HBCU, you're gonna have a good band. Like, you're going to see some black people, like,
Right.
like you're going to get some culture, and
Right, and you gonna get some real education.
yeah, it's it's just one of those things, and so I'm like really curious to see like how like college athletics is gonna how it's gonna be affected, and what are sort of like the new things that are gonna happen, but you know,
It's gonna get wild though, because like once that 21 hits and like people are really out, they're able to get money from third parties. Ooh, I don't know.
eh,
It might
well, I
it might take the top off.
I doubt it, because really, you think about it, like not everybody. It's not like, with when everybody that gets a scholarship doesn't play, right? you
Right.
know like, and so it that works across everything else, like, yeah, people are going to like, student athletes aren't going to be starving, you know like every student athlete is not going to be starving, but there are going to be some student athletes that will,
Right.
like,
And a lot of times, like like I know, there's more that is that's not.
yeah, so it's they a lot of the stuff that, like, for people that like understand sort of the climate and understand what it's like to play a sport in college, like, there's so many experiences that like don't really make sense until you just like until you've been through it, and then you're like, oh,
Right.
okay, like, oh yeah. Well, a perfect
And,
example is like when we were at Hawaii, in order for us, we had this multi-million-dollar contract with Under Armour, and we
right.
could get we could get stuff,
Man,
but in order for us to get new stuff, we had to rip holes in our socks and our shoes and in our shorts in
ridiculous,
order to get a new pair
stuff.
of shorts, and
Right.
so we literally had to like damage the
Which,
stuff.
and you know what? I don't. And you know what? To think about it, and I thought about that too. Looking back on it, I bet you that was not a part of their deal. Their deal probably was, hey, this is the inventory. This inventory is for kids. They probably made the stipulations. People from University of Hawaii. I'm not talking bad about them. I'm just saying they probably did it. They probably thought this was best for what was in that moment. They probably thought, oh well, how about we just issue one pair out to? But the Under Armour people probably just was like, hey, this is for your team. Like, equip them. Like, they're probably not thinking like, this is your only inventory that we're going to ever give you guys. You're not going to give it until like because there wasn't as many schools when we were with Under Armour. Man, I can count on one hand how many teams had Under Armour.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we were getting a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't even about the stuff that we were. I remember we were getting a lot of stuff, bro.
Oh yeah.
We just wasn't getting a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
it was. They were selling it in the bookstore.
Right.
you know
Right. They was getting their money. I mean, but I can't knock them. Like, Hawaii is a special college, and I just wanted to tell you, the viewers, we've been talking about this student athlete and about being broke, and yeah, that's real. But I mean, don't lose fact that, like, a lot of people who were broke, they still made it through, still had different ways of going about it. There's always different ways of going about it positively as well too.
Oh yeah.
But
But it is like the experience can be
it's a
like,
struggle.
the experience can take its toll on you, because
Oh, it definitely takes
like,
it takes its toll. Don't you know that for 100%?
like how many, like, I feel like every, like, from spring to summer, just going from spring ball to summer, we would like the like 30% of the team would be different, you know
it would
just in a matter of a couple of months, and so it's a
and even after spring, I mean, just to be real, even after summer, the team will look different for fall camp.
heck yeah. You'd be like, hey, what happened?
So it was
What
like
happened to
spring,
dude?
summer,
You'd be like,
fall
oh,
camp
he's
was
not. He's
totally
not here anymore. He's just like, dang.
right. He's not even here. He and then you see the same dude that wasn't playing, the same dude that was playing, he's still in school. It's not for him. That's it.
He's just in school, just walking around campus, going to school.
Bro, we had a lot of kids on that team, bro, at Hawaii, bro. And I know there's a lot of teams that have a lot of similar stories, bro. A lot of those kids that be trying to walk on, or that do be walking on, man, those be some good kids as far as in athletic abilities wise. I'm not saying everybody,
Yeah.
because obviously there's some good, there's some bad, there's some terrible. But I'm saying from what I've been around, a lot of the kids that do want to walk on, even from my JUCO time, even though it's hard to walk on at JUCO, but it's like you don't have a spot, so like that's how you walk on at JUCO.
Yeah.
But like you're not projected anywhere, you're not on the roster at all. That's how you walk on. But like I've always been around some great motivational, driven, great athletes of walk-ons at both schools. It's crazy because you remember Kavika was not the well shoot. Kavika walked on too, didn't he?
Both Kavikas, yeah.
Both Kavikas. Yeah, I was talking about the other Kavika.
Which one? Black Kavika or?
No, not black.
Oh, Kavika.
Well,
yeah, I know.
I was about to say.
Pauly Kavika.
Yeah, well, I was about to say that from the islands, but they're both from Hawaii. But
Kavika was black.
Yeah,
you say black.
That other Kavika was a dog, bro.
He was big.
He got treated so, bro. Even think about Brian Moniz. When Brian came to our squad, Brian was on the special teams. He was a walk-on.
Yeah, because he came from he came from Fresno City, right?
Fresno State.
Yeah. Was it Fresno State?
Well, he came from Fresno City. City. But when he came to Hawaii, he was on special teams.
Yeah.
He wasn't even, I don't think he was even fourth string quarterback at the time. But he was just always on special teams, the first person down there. Him and I remember him and D Graves.
Yeah.
They used to always be the first ones down there.
Yeah. But one thing is that Bryant Moniz had I think it was like his aunt or his like or somebody like worked for the school too.
Yeah. That was life. But I mean, he still earned his spot.
Yeah, he did. I mean, hey, he
definitely was like a dark horse that came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, because before he knew it,
real with you, even David Graves. To me, the year that we played, the year that I was there, I thought David Graves should have played. But that's just me.
Remember, he was playing, and then he would mess around and do his own thing, and then be like a 3 and out. And like inside the 15.
But they didn't want to. If they would have let Graves do his thing, Graves would have been an outstanding senior year leader for them. Yeah. If they would have let, because even when we first came in, when I first got there, Graves was there, but he was cold. He was different.
He was pretty solid. I mean, he was pretty solid. It's just that he wasn't. If he ran a 4.4 or 4.5. It wouldn't have been a question, If he was 6'3" and he ran a 4.5, it would have been a different.
If he was 6'3", he could have been the starter his first year for sure. Yes,
but he's 5'11", and he's 5'11", 4'6", 4'7", and so it's.
But you got to understand, he is a quarterback.
He is a quarterback, but in the Hawaii offense, a Hawaii offense quarterback isn't a runner. They're throwing pop passes. They're doing all this stuff. I mean, Colt Brennan is a perfect example. Freaking 6'3". He's not like the slowest person, but he can make do. But that offense just doesn't. It didn't work with, David Graves trying to be Johnny Manziel.
Right. And I wanted to be Johnny Manziel at that time.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to just like hop on the podcast and just chop it up with us and talk football and just kind of the experience and everything.
Yeah, definitely, bro. I look forward to doing this again, man. Just reaching out to you, man. Just staying connected to you, man. Just being grateful and appreciative during this time. I'm a father, so just trying to be the best father I can be. Trying to be the best educational leader I can be. Trying to be the best nephew, brother, son. Little things matter, and it make everything else in life run a little bit smoother when you focus on the little things. So like little things like making sure you stay connected to the people who are thoughtful and who mean something to you. So I always make sure I stay connected to my teammates because, if it wasn't for my teammates, little do they know, a lot of people don't know that obviously, but I wouldn't probably even continue playing football. Like there's a lot of stuff that happened to me during my years of playing football, from losing family to just personal things. And the only thing that made it worth it was the teammates that I had.
Yeah.
From go to Division One, like so. I'm appreciative of you and thank you, and I'm appreciative of this conversation. So, I hope everything goes well with you. You know what I'm saying? You staying safe, man. Don't be out there at grocery stores eating all that meat.
Yeah, I haven't left the house in a while, and I will say that I find out if I get into OHSU tomorrow, and so if I do that, I may go for like a little jog or something because
Right.
that's exciting. I mean, getting to medical school, that you
Right,
can't really beat
right.
that. But other than that,
Steve,
it's
Steve, yeah. But how long? Wait, is this your first time that you? Wait, did you take a break from grad school to medical school to like from right now? Obviously, did you take a break in between?
so so when I left Oregon State, I took a year off and made that documentary, and then I went to Portland State, and I had to do all the prereqs and stuff because I didn't do all
Right,
those, and so I had to pretty much do like a post back for two
right.
years, and then after that, I've been just taking the MCAT, studying and applying to medical school, and so I applied. The first year was 2017, and then I applied last year. Took a year off and applied last year because I think I spent about $4,000 or $5,000 so far just trying to apply to medical schools, and so
These
yeah.
these schools know what they're doing though.
Yeah, and so yeah, so hopefully I'd
Bro, I just want to let you know, bro. If anybody deserves it, bro, it's you, man. You always been like just being real with you. You always been someone that you just can tell just off the top that all right, this dude, he knows what he's talking about. Like whatever it is that he's talking about, like you can tell, like all right, Steve is on it. So just from athletics to educational, all that good stuff. So I'm proud of you, bro. And like like I always check up on you, just make sure that you still doing what you do, because you know what I'm saying, you're a genius. So
yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so
you know how it is.
so if before we get off, is there anything you want to plug? Any social stuff? Trying to get that social up? Any projects that you're working with? Any organizations that you're working
Well,
with?
shoot, right now, thanks to you for getting me assists on the podcast information. But me and my partners, we've been trying to. I call them partners because I've been knowing them. Some of them I've been knowing them since we were like, we live in the same neighborhood. So since I was like 5, 6 years old. Some of them I knew since I left from college. So I was like maybe 2010. So all 10-year plus relationships. But we all went different places, all went different colleges, all went to different schools, all different regions. So we're trying to come together and use our resources to create a podcast. So right now that's what we're doing. Well, that's what we are doing. It will be coming out pretty soon. Name and everything will be given out too. So other than that, man, I'm just trying to be a great dad, man. That's the only thing I'm focused on, and just make sure I keep my baby safe from all this outside interference right now. So that's one thing that I'm focused on, honestly.
Okay. Did you talk to Tank recently?
Man, that's my dog. I talked to Tank. Yeah,
Okay.
I talked to Tank. What? That's my dog, man. That's my dog.
Because because he literally said the exact same thing that you just said.
What? About what?
About starting a podcast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the thing with that, so I talked to Tank like maybe 2 or 3 days ago.
Okay.
We talked a lot.
Yeah.
I talked to Chizzy and Zach just yesterday. Actually, just earlier today, they just linked up. They called me.
Okay.
But so one of my partners went to University of Penn. One of my partners went to University of Portland State. One of my partners, he's from the East Coast, and another of my partners, he stayed home, but we all have different professions.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them are Whiting and Kennedy. Some of them they own their own DHS professional. Some of them they're a youth professional, and they own their own basketball teams. And the other guy, he's a sports fitness model, life model. But I've been knowing these dudes for a long time, and we all have different resources. So we're just trying to put it together and make it so it's not like everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because after a while, it gets watered down.
Oh yeah. Hey, I know I'm getting ready to start another podcast. I started recording another podcast next week, and so
right.
we're in the age of creation. That's what
right.
That's what it's all about.
Right now, the frequency and the vibrations is going higher, so you might as well go with it.
Oh yeah. If you black, you better start creating stuff because that's where the money's at.
Right.
You know.
And plus, if you black, you can create. So don't even worry about that. Like, we'll talk though. That's how we became, is from creation,
Yes.
from creating, from being innovative.
Oh yeah. And so yeah, everybody kind of be on the lookout for that. I will, be definitely keeping up with it and seeing what.
Yeah, if you ever do another podcast talking about black folks and about black experience, let me know, because I'm ready.
Okay, definitely. I will definitely put you on the list for that, because I think that is post COVID, with all these grants and all these things not going to black people. I think
post-COVID, just to say that this post-COVID,
yeah,
man,
like it's
we really living in this time right now. It's crazy.
Like there's definitely going to be some opinion pieces about the state of Black America with all this stuff. So yeah, be on the lookout for that too. And
definitely.
Appreciate the time, and
I appreciate it.
We will talk later.
Yes, sir. Stay safe.
Yep. See it. Again, I want to give another shout out to the Soul District Business Association and Flossin Media for helping me put this on. I'm your host, Stephen Christian. I mixed and mastered this podcast. I also did all the interviews. And if you see any of the stuff on YouTube, I put all that stuff together as well. With all the social distancing things right now, I'm producing this right out of my home studio. So if you have a chance, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Medium, at PDX Black Rose, which is PDX BLACKROSE. And if you're on Patreon, hit us up on there. We would love your support. If you don't do anything else, definitely rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. And on top of that, be sure to share this with your friends. The purpose of this podcast is to highlight the movers and shakers in Portland that are doing things in the Black community. And by supporting this podcast, you're supporting the community as a whole. So with that being said, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the flip side. The intro song is brought to you by Andy Stokes, and the outro song is brought to you by Spring Gang from Epidemic Sound.